Men, your stories matter. If Christ has changed your life, it's time to let it be heard. We're looking for men willing to step up, share their testimony, and roar about what God has done. No fluff, no masks, just raw, real stories of redemption. If you have questions or want to be a guest, email us at theroarpodcastinfo@gmail.com. theroarpodcastinfo@gmail.com. It's time to speak up and push back the darkness. Born from a life-changing encounter with God, Jesus 7 Speed Apparel is more than clothing. It's faith in motion. The number 7, God's number of completion, and the phrase Godspeed combine to create the speed of joy. Every shirt, every hoodie, and every cap is a statement of faith, a chance to spark conversation, and carry God's truth wherever you go. Jesus 7 Speed, more than apparel. It's a calling. Shop now at Jesus7speed.com. Welcome to the Roar Podcast, where testimonies speak loud and the Lion of Judah is never silent. Every week we sit down with men whose lives have been flipped upside down and made right side up by Jesus Christ. These aren't polished stories. They're real, raw, sometimes messy, but always marked by the power of God to redeem, restore, and roar through the lives of his people. Whether you've walked with Christ for years or you're just asking questions, this space is for you. Because when Jesus changes a life, it echoes. Welcome to the Roar Podcast. This is John Garrett, joined again with my trusty co-host, founder, CEO, Jesus 7 Speed Apparel. What's going on, Casey?
Taco Tuesday. Hello, everybody.
What's tomorrow? Today's Taco Tuesday. What's tomorrow? Yesterday was Mighty Monday.
I got to figure that one out.
Meatloaf Monday.
That's G-rated. Yes.
Exactly. So we're here today. We have a new special guest that is a friend of a friend, and we've heard great things about Darrin's story, and I cannot wait to hear what he's got going on. Casey, I'll let you do his quick introduction.
Yes. Hey, Darrin, welcome again. Thank you so much for your openness to do this. Just to connect the dots for our listeners, Mark Simpson from, I believe, episode 11 referred and sent Darrin our way. I don't know what he had to do to make that happen, Darrin, but we're just so grateful that you're here willing to do this and to just lift John and I up, as well as everybody up today. So thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you, John, Casey, for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. Take it away.
Go ahead and jump right into it.
Yeah.
So Mark Simpson, he's a good friend of mine. We kind of have a connection with some background in law enforcement and stuff, and we met through our kids going to high school together, and both of us have a strong Christian faith, and anyways, became good friends. We all go to church together now and stuff, and he had actually told me about y'all's show, and he had said that he was on this podcast, and he shared it with me, and he kind of said, you really need to go on and tell your story. And I said, my story's not that, impactful and stuff. And he kind of encouraged me and got us, I guess, all in contact with each other. And so here I am today, I guess, telling my story.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Shout out.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. So I guess I just kind of start from the beginning. I said, I grew up in a really good family, Christian family and stuff. My dad was not. My dad was gone a lot, but it was for work. He traveled a lot, stuff, and he was a believer, but he didn't always make church a lot. We grew up in church. I went to church a lot with my mom and my sister. Grew up Episcopal, and everything was good. Part of my childhood, the roughest part of my childhood, and this kind of leads into my main story, but my I grew up dyslexic, and I had a really tough time in school, um, to the point where back in the early, back in the 70s and 80s and stuff, I guess dyslexia was not, uh, they didn't have a real good grasp on it yet, as far as having programs and stuff in school. And so we lived in Garland, Texas at the time, and my mother would drive me to a private school, the only one in the area, on the other side of Dallas, which was a good hour away one way,
Mm.
just to take me to a school that was trying to start a dyslexia program. Um, I was made fun of a lot. I had a really tough time in school, and so um, I was frustrated. My teachers were frustrated, and so it became very difficult. So I grew up with some uh, with only a few friends that I felt comfortable around, and I actually told this whole story uh, at my church. They asked me to come up when they were wanting to get an update on me, and I'll lead into that in a little bit later. But
Right
I
on.
was telling them that part of my childhood, uh, being only surrounded by a few friends that really kind of accepted me and stuff. Otherwise, I was teased a lot and stuff. And part of my armor growing up was I kind of had a good sense of humor. And so I would try to beat people to the punch on making fun of me by always making fun of myself first.
Mm.
Um, and so I just kind of, that's kind of how I got by. Um, so the few friends that I had, we had a huge tree out in my front yard, and my friends and I, we grew up watching shows like Emergency, Adam 12, SWAT, some of those shows. You may remember some of those shows.
Absolutely.
We watched those, all the time, and that tree became our basically our playground. And my friends and I, we would scale this tree up and down. We would hang ropes from it. We'd rappel up and down this tree. We would arrest a lot of fake bad guys in this tree all the time, and we became very very good at it. Where that's that's where I decided that this was for me. So um, I took what was a small playground and a place that I felt comfortable with, and working with people and friends that I felt really comfortable with, and I turned that into a career. And so my playground became much bigger and became the cities that I worked for. And so um, fast forward, I moved from that small playground into working in law enforcement as an arson investigator. I became a firefighter, and and I became very good at that. Um, I worked in special operations. I had promoted my way up to captain. I was the dive captain. Uh, we ran three teams, and I was the dive captain on 18 on A shift. And and I worked in different areas. I was a engine boss on a wildland strike team, and did that for many years. So I was constantly keeping myself busy, um, and everything was going great. Wound up getting married, having a great family. I've got two kids. My son's 25. He works as a firefighter also. He works for Plano Fire Department down the road from my department. My daughter is married, and she's. I've got a great son-in-law now. So everything's going great in my life. We're going to church. We've got this great family. My job's going great. Um, I'm deploying a lot. Uh, nothing could go wrong until 2022. 2022 comes around for me, and something's just not right. I was a very active guy. I mean, I'm a 5'8", 175-pound guy. I'm not an intimidating guy. Sports was always one of my big things. Working out was one of my big things. Um, and I would work out on duty and stuff, maybe twice a shift. And 2022 happens, and I'm starting to have a lot of pain in my back. And one day it may be really bad pain. I may go 2 or 3 days with no pain, and then all of a sudden, one day the pain comes back and it's shooting up and down my back and down in my legs, and it's starting to affect my workouts. And I don't know what's going on. So this is kind of coming and going. It's like a roller coaster. There are good days and bad days. And I'm not one to really run and go to a doctor when I start having pain. I'm always trying to find an excuse of, okay, well, maybe I worked out too hard, or I twisted the wrong way. It'll go away. My wife also works in the medical field, and she strongly urged me to, hey, why don't you go to a chiropractor? Which I was totally against going to chiropractors and stuff. I just don't like being adjusted or anything. And she made me this appointment without me knowing about it. And she just kind of said, well, I've got you an appointment. You're going. So I go and I show up at this chiropractor and stuff. And I think he wound up adjusting my neck twice in 2 different visits. And I had a series of visits that he had lined me up for. He'd also wanted to do some acupuncture and stuff. And I would have like some immediate relief, but the pain would always come back. Mm. And I kept making excuses to my wife that I said, I think he broke my neck. I think he slipped my disc or something. I go, the pain's not going away. And I'm getting more and more aggravated because now the pain is starting to affect me at work. We worked at that time, we were working 24 hours on, 48 off. So sleeping at the fire station was horrible. I could get through the day because I'm constantly moving, but when it was nighttime and we would get in our racks and I jump in my bunk, I would be curled up like a cat, would be like the only position that I had any kind of relief. Mm. And I found myself waking up in the middle of the night multiple times, pacing around the fire station and just couldn't get any relief. And again, this was like a roller coaster. It was just up and down pain. Well, then all of a sudden, and this went on for roughly around a year. And during that time, now I'm starting to have this productive cough. And this cough keeps coming. It's coming and going and stuff. And starting to have a little bit of trouble swallowing food. And eventually that starts getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And one day I'm at the dinner table at the fire station, and my driver said, "Hey, Cap," he goes, "Why do you keep coughing? Why are you always choking?" Hmm. And I go, "Oh, it's nothing. It's acid reflux or something." I said, "I went to a doctor. He thinks it's acid reflux." He said, "Take a bunch of antacids and you'll be fine." And he goes, "What you've probably done is you've developed some scar tissue or something, and we'll send you out for a chest X-ray and an upper GI and stuff." But until I could make those appointments, I was taking antacids like they were candy with like zero relief. And this cough just kept getting worse and worse. And I mean, I couldn't get through a regular conversation without being just sometimes having to stop myself to just have a coughing fit. Eating became more and more difficult to the point where now I'm starting to lose weight. And I'm trying to work out at the station. And what was working out twice a day turned into one time a day. To some days I'd show up at the station and I'd say, I just don't feel it today. I'm not going to work out. Mm. And that was really out of my character. I loved working out. I loved staying fit. Um, and being on the dive team, we have annual refresher and dive skills. And so one day I'm at the station, and we actually have we call it a dive tank, but it's a pool. It's a 15-foot deep pool behind our fire station. And so I would get out there at the end of the day, and I would swim laps to stay in it. And then I would don all my gear, and I would drop to the bottom, and we would ditch our gear, put it on the bottom of the pool, hang weights on our legs, and then we would have to redon all our equipment. And while we're doing that, we usually had like a little skill or something at the bottom of the pool that we had to kind of manipulate and stuff. And it was all about consumption drills and being comfortable on the bottom, because our normal dive operations were in Lake Louisville, which is zero visibility, and so we did a lot of body recoveries and evidence recoveries and boat and vehicle recoveries and stuff. So having to be very comfortable at the bottom of the pool was essential to be on the dive team. So I'm on the bottom of the pool, and I had just swam some laps, and it was very difficult to get through that. So I'm at the bottom of the pool, and I'm trying to get ready to ditch my gear, and I felt like I was breathing through a straw.
Mm.
Um, I thought somebody had messed with my equipment. Um, so I come to the surface. I'm ditching all my stuff. I'm rechecking my gauges and everything. I go back down, still breathing through a straw. And I'm very frustrated. I come up and I just ditch everything on the deck, and I wind up just deconning everything, and I just put everything up, and I'm very frustrated. So I um, this keeps going on. The difficulty breathing is getting worse and worse. The eating and now trying to swallow liquids. I'm now starting to get choke on food and liquids. Um, I could literally drink water, and I could feel the water sitting in my throat,
Wow.
and I couldn't get it all down. At the very worst, at this time, my wife is now at home cutting my food up into little bitty pieces
Mm.
just so that I could get it down. I know something's going on, but again, I'm trying to find every excuse. I'm a healthy guy. Why is this happening to me? And I'm still not cluing in on what it could be. I just know something's wrong. And um, so now my wife is trying to get enough um, um, protein and stuff in me to try to get my weight back up, because now I'm losing weight pretty rapidly, and I've lost a lot of strength. Trying to work out at the station was almost impossible. I had gone from lifting, heavier weights down to just, I mean, very light weights, and doing a lot of body weight exercises just to get by. Um, I had tried to do a workout in this is now 2023. Um, I was trying to do a workout at the station, and I was going to tough through it. I got through one round, and I threw two kettlebells up above my head. And first round went great, no problems. Second round came through that same weight above my head, and it was literally like a light switch went off.
Mm.
I had zero strength. All the weight came crashing down. Now I know there's something wrong. I'm not eating. I'm coughing. I'm losing weight. Strength is now is pretty much gone, or I can't rely on it. Um, so we had taken a day off. I had taken a day off, and now I'm traveling to uh, Oklahoma for my daughter's engagement party. So we're in Oklahoma. We go through the engagement party. I'm struggling to get through the party, but I put on a good game face, and I get through it. And now we're on our way back to Texas. And my wife uh, tells me, she goes, "Hey, I think we need to go. I think we need to go to the ER. There's something wrong." And I'm again still in denial. And I said, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good." Again, it's the acid reflux thing. Uh, we've got the chest X-ray results supposed to come back. The upper GI didn't show anything. I'm good. It's got to be something like that. So we keep traveling and we get back into Texas. She doesn't mention anything, and we're about to take our exit. And this is about 6 p.m. We're about to take our exit to go to our house. And she goes, "Oh, I thought we were going to the ER." And I go, "You're serious? You're serious about that?" And she goes, "I'm absolutely serious." And I go, "All right." To suffice her, we go straight to the ER. Go in the ER, get checked in, and they start running in a few tests and everything. And the doctor basically tells me, he goes, let's just follow up and do a CT. We'll send you out for a CT, and you can get that done, and we'll get those records back, and we'll see if anything's going on. And he goes, or if you want to wait around, we can do one tonight, but it's going to be at least another hour before we can get you in to do it. Well, now it's roughly midnight,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had it up to here, waiting, and I just want to go home and get some rest because I'm supposed to work for a guy in the morning at 0700. So they schedule the CT. I'm waiting. They eventually take me back and they do the CT scan. I come back to the room. I'm waiting. I'm getting more and more frustrated. And I'm to the point where I'm about to walk out when the doctor walks in. Now, this is roughly around COVID. Doctor comes in, he's wearing a mask, and his eyes are this big, just staring at me. And he's standing in the doorway, and he's just looking at me, and he's kind of shaking his head. And he goes, and I'll never forget his words. He never told me what it was, but he just sat there and he just kind of shook his head and he goes, "I'm sorry, it's bad."
Mm.
Oh,
And I got this cold chill that just ran down my back. I know it's bad. I know it's something. I have a good idea what it is, but until someone tells me for sure, I'm still kind of denying things. And he said, "I know why you had trouble in the water." He goes, "It's bad, and you're being admitted right now." And I said, "Whoa, whoa, time out. Wait a minute. What do you mean?" He goes, "When you said that you felt like you were breathing through a straw at the bottom of the pool," he goes, "you got a liter of fluid on your left lung." He goes, "You were basically drowning."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "No." He goes, "You're being admitted right now. This is not solely my decision. I'm on the phone with another doctor who concurs. You are absolutely not to leave this ER. You're being admitted, and you're going to be getting a chest tube within the hour."
Wow.
My wife loses it, and she immediately gets on the phone and she calls my battalion chief and tells him, "Hey," and she's crying, telling him, "Hey, Darrin's in the ER. It's bad. We don't know what's going on. They won't tell us what it is. He's being admitted. He's not going to be at work tomorrow." And so they quickly get me admitted, get me on the floor, and now I'm being IVs are starting, and eventually I'm wheeled back to get this chest tube. Um, the one thing that I didn't mention was back before I went to the ER and stuff, when I was lifting, and uh, the other side of that was I would work out at my off-duty gym here in McKinney, and I was on a rower, and I would normally do like a 2,000 meter row to warm up. I couldn't get to 500 without sucking wind, and I literally passed out while rowing, and I woke up when I smacked the floor, and I looked around to see if anybody saw me and stuff.
Wow.
That was another indication that
Yeah.
something's bad going on. So anyways, fast forward. I'm on the floor. I've been admitted, and I was in the hospital for 8 days while I'm going through this. In the meantime, the oncologist on duty never would tell me what was going on, and I thought that was kind of odd that we don't know what's going on. Eventually, they got the fluid off majority of the fluid off my lung, and now they're going to try to discontinue that, and that threw me into AFib. So now I'm starting to have some heart issues. So they continue they keep the chest tube in place, and I wound up leaving with a chest tube and a backpack.
No way.
Oh yeah, it was kind of odd to me too, because I couldn't stop with the fluid. So while this is going on, I make an appointment with my oncologist, and that is when I find out what is actually happening to me. So I go meet with this oncologist, and he says, "Hey, do you know what's going on with you?" And I go, "No, no one will tell us." And he goes, "Well, I know." He goes, "I've got your records right here, and I can see everything all your charts." And he goes, "You have diffuse large cell B lymphoma. It's highly aggressive, and if you were my patient, we would be starting on chemo today." And that's that was like a sledgehammer moment for me. I remember that conversation. I remember looking around the room like it was slow motion. I didn't know really what to think. I just looked at my wife, and I just kind of smiled at her, and she goes, "You need to leave, don't you?" And I go, "I do." She goes, "Well, I'll check us out. You go out to the car." I go out to the car, and again, I'm a believer, and I know God's got this. And I work in a career that I'm a firm believer that you've got to have a strong faith, because you never know what might be around the corner. And when you're given news that you've got an aggressive cancer and it's stage 4, and it's advanced, which I'll kind of tell a little bit later. I didn't know what they meant by advanced, how far advanced, where it was at, and everything. He just said it's bad. He told me, we had told that oncologist that just prior to coming to his appointment, we had gotten word through a friend of ours that they had got us an appointment at MD Anderson in Houston, which is one of the leading cancer hospitals in the entire country. And I can't say enough great things about MD Anderson. I mean, just absolute top-notch facility.
Yeah.
We had just gotten word that we had gotten an appointment for that Monday. So my oncologist in town in Frisco told me, he said, "Listen, if you can tolerate the ride, I highly suggest that you get to MD Anderson as soon as you can." And he goes, "And here's why: you're going to get worse before you get better." And he said, "So you need to bypass any ER and get down there. And if you're starting to get worse, if you can tolerate the ride, admit yourself in the ER, get yourself to the ER, and they will admit you there. That way you're in the system down there. If you stop anywhere along the way and go to another ER, you're going to prolong that, and you don't have time to prolong any of your treatment. You've got to get going now.
Wow.
So we hear all this. I go out to the car. My wife is checking me out at the office, at the oncologist office, and I go and I sit in the car, and that was my breaking moment. That's where I broke down, and I never said, why me? I never said, why God? I never blamed God. It was the weirdest thing, because I sat there and I had my breaking moment, and then I stopped, and I remember looking out the window, and there was the freeway sits right in front of this ER, in front of this hospital, and I'm just watching cars go by, and I'm just out loud, I'm talking to God, and I said, okay, God, I know we've got an appointment in Houston. You tell me what I need to do now. And and my wife comes out, and we both kind of have our breaking moment there in the car. And I told her, I said, I'm ready to go. We need to find out what we need to do next. So that was a Friday. I go to church Sunday, and I sit towards the back of the church, and I'm feeling pretty bad. I can't stand up very long, and I'm sitting there, and I'm hiding this backpack with my chest tube in it. To just lead me and help me through this. So we leave that Sunday after church, left straight from the parking lot of the church, and went straight to Houston. And it was a very tough ride. We got down there and wound up getting admitted right away after seeing the doctor. The doctor was pretty shocked that I was sitting there in front of him with a chest tube and a backpack. But he goes, but we're going to get through this. And super positive guy. I love my doctor to death. He was great. And they wound up admitting me down there. And I think I was in Indy Anderson for like 7 days as they're starting the chemo and everything. And that turned into we would drive to Houston every week for chemo and doctor's visits and PET scans and labs and clinical trial labs or meds and stuff. So I got to know Houston pretty well. But I can remember when I felt like all of that was working. It was, at my worst, I was literally drinking protein shakes every day, and that was all I could get down. I couldn't eat any solid foods, and my wife would buy those big jumbo protein shakes, and I kept telling her, I said, I'm so done with protein shakes. Give me just a small one. That's all I want, just a small one. And every time she would come out with these big giant protein shakes, and she goes, no, you've got to finish that. And then all of a sudden one day I'm drinking a protein shake, and I wanted to eat something, and I'm taking little bites of something, and all of a sudden everything just kept going down without, and I looked over at her, and I was so happy that I was able to eat food and not choke, not cough, and things were working again. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And now, mind you, I have still never seen my PET scan to see what was going on. All I know is it was an aggressive, advanced stage cancer, and So why I'm down there at MD Anderson and I'm getting a treatment. One day we get word of a young firefighter down the hall from me that is battling cancer also, uh, roughly in his 20s, and we see this story on the news, and it was a young Tulsa fireman battling a very aggressive cancer, and my wife decided to reach out to his wife and said, "Hey, listen, we're not some weirdos or anything. We're here at MD Anderson also. We just want to. We've been praying for you. Um, if y'all would like to have visitors one day uh, when you're having a good day, if you would like to meet, we would love to meet you." And a couple of days later, his wife reached back out to Jenny and said, "We would love to meet y'all. Um, uh, when we'll find a good day when he's actually having a better day, and we would love to meet you." And it may be kind of a spur of the moment thing. So they reach out to us and say, "Hey, he's actually doing good today. If y'all want to come by and visit." So um, we had we had just gotten back into town, in back after traveling back and forth to Houston. We had just gotten back into town, and I had gone to do my PET scan that morning. That afternoon, we were going to meet this firefighter and his wife. I get my PET scan, my labs and stuff done, and still haven't talked to the doctor and got my results on my PET scan or anything. I don't know where I'm at in my battle. So we go and we meet with this family and stuff, and we had a good meeting, started talking to him and stuff. And um, again, I'm a pretty private guy. Um, Kind of going back to when I talked about the dyslexia and stuff, and the the tree, and surround myself around guys uh, that were kind of like me, right? Guys in military, guys in the fire service, law enforcement and stuff. I was a pretty private guy, so I don't talk. Uh, I don't put myself out there too much because I've always built up this armor. And fast fast forwarding to this moment where I'm talking to this young firefighter, I did something that's kind of out of the ordinary for me. I asked him, "Hey, can I pray for you?" And so he said, "Absolutely." And so I knelt down next to him and I put my hand on his leg and I prayed openly out loud with him and his family and stuff. And that felt so great to be able to do that. Um, and my wife was even shocked. She goes, "I've never seen you do that before." And I go, I felt good. I felt like I wanted to do that. And so that became a friendship. He and I would call each other on our trips back and forth from Houston. And so we had this, this friendship. And sadly, he lost his battle. Um, he lost he lost he lost his battle, and I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Um, in the meantime, why I'm going through all this, um, well, it's kind of catch you up. So after we met with him and I prayed with him, we left his room, and my wife said, "Hey, I've never seen you do that before. That was really neat." And I go, "Yeah, I felt really good," and I felt so great. And I'm walking from his room, and we're headed to my doctor's appointment to get my results on my PET scan. And I wasn't even thinking about, "Hey, I hope it's a good PET scan," or "I wonder where I'm at." I didn't even, I wasn't even thinking about me. I was thinking about this guy and praying with him and how great that felt. And then all of a sudden I show up at the doctor's office. They take me back, and we sit down with the doctor. And on May 31st of 2023, I'm sitting in this doctor's office, my doctor, and he pulls up the computer. And before he showed me this PET scan, he turned around on his chair, and he looked at Jenny and I, and he said, I don't know if you're a believer. And he pointed to heaven, and he said, I've not seen this happen this quick before. After 2 rounds of chemo, he pulls up, and I don't know if you guys have seen my PET scan. I'm going to show you, since you guys are on video. He pulls up this picture, and it's a side-by-side comparison. And I thank God that I did not see my PET scan, my initial PET scan, because it probably would have put me in a really bad place. But this is my PET scan,
Holy
the before
smokes.
and after.
Wow.
And after 2 rounds of chemo, I had cancer in my lymph nodes from my throat, in both lungs. I had cancer all the way down my spine, and cancer all the way down my spine. It was in my abdomen and in my pelvis. So if you can imagine those that can't see this, if you imagine my PET scan, the very center of my torso was black.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he told me that the cancer that was in my spine had created microfractures in my spine, he goes, again, when you threw that weight above your head and you lost strength, it's because that cancer was in your spine.
Wow.
When you were sucking through a straw trying to do your dive skills and stuff, you were drowning because of the liquid in your lung, the fluid in your lungs and stuff. So he said, so yeah, after 2 rounds of chemo, he goes, I've read enough PET scans to tell you that you're in full remission.
Wow.
He goes, now to answer your second question, yes, you do have to finish all 6 rounds of chemo.
Yeah.
So that became, going back and forth to Houston and stuff. And so this young firefighter and I became very good friends, and talking to each other and praying with each other while traveling to Houston up and down the highway. And just like I said earlier, his cancer wound up coming back and got very, very aggressive, and he lost his battle. Since I was diagnosed with cancer, I've talked to probably 5 other firefighters that have been diagnosed with cancer. 1, 2, 3 of those. I'm sorry, 6. 3 of those lost their battle. And a couple of the others, I keep in touch with them, and I talk to them about what I went through, what to expect, and so it was a difficult journey. After I started to feel a little bit better, my church invited me up to the front of the church to kind of give an update and to kind of tell my story. And I kind of told a similar version of this to all the congregation there. And so I'm feeling good. The cancer's working. I'm in remission. And one night I'm lying in bed, and I couldn't sleep. My mind was just constant. It was 100 miles an hour. It just kept racing. And my wife rolls over and she looks at me, and she sees a tear running down my face, and she immediately starts panicking. She goes, "What's wrong?" And I go, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the word is, but feel I feel great.
Hmm.
I feel really good. I feel strong. I feel I feel good. And she goes, well, that word is you're vulnerable.
Hmm.
And I go, that's the word.
Wow.
I go, ever since I was a kid with dyslexia and putting up that armor and not letting anybody in, but just the people that were kind of like me, um, I I realized that I've got a bigger story to tell. I've got more going on because my identity for the longest time was what I did,
Yeah.
the job I did. Um, I went through so many different classes and advanced schools and deployments, and that's how people knew me. They knew me from the fire service or deployments and stuff. And I don't think that's how I should be remembered. I think my story and my faith is where I need to be remembered. I think God worked a lot on my heart during this because while I'm sitting in the hospital getting treatment one time, um, my wife looks at me and she goes, "Do you realize how uh, less stressful you are right now?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "No." She goes, "You don't get it." She goes, "You are more talkative now. You are so happy now, and you're so much more engaging. You want to go do this, and you want to say this, and when people walk in the room, you're so much more talkative to them. You were not like that." And I couldn't understand it until I went back to work. And not that I don't like going to work. I love my job. I do. I love being able to help people and do all that. But I also I could feel the anxiety and the rush of being stressed coming back and um, being able to look forward to retirement one day. I can definitely see that now. And um, it just feels really good to go to church now and to be able to thank God properly for how He worked on my heart. And I think that that small playground that turned into a big playground where I only surrounded myself by a few people and the job that I did, I think understanding now what God's done on my heart and what it means to be vulnerable, I need to I need to step off that playground now and be able to open myself up more. And because doing this would never have happened uh, in my old life. I just don't get up and talk about myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking. I feel like I'm just rambling and chattering and stuff. But normally that's not like me because I don't want anybody to ever see any kind of vulnerability in me. Um, uh, I've always tried to, you know, I always wanted to be that tough guy, but you know, I'm not. You know, the nice guy always worked for me. Um, I just kind of closed myself off for a long time. And so when Mark Simpson suggested that you need to go on and tell your story, um, it felt good when he asked me to do that because I normally I would have said, "Oh, Mark, no, I can't do that." But when you guys reached out to me also and we talked, um, Casey, it definitely felt like the right thing to do. And I pray every day for those friends of mine that are going through their battle. And um, because it's a strange thing, going to going to Houston, I start immediately start praying when because I go every January now to do labs and PET scans. I'll do that for like the next 5 years. But every time I head to Houston, I start praying
Yep.
for all those people that I come in contact with. Because when you go to Houston and you sit in that room to get ready to get your labs drawn, you're in a huge room with people and you're sitting next to people having conversations like you and I are. And then you're sitting also next to people that can't even hold their heads up.
Wow.
And it's the most depressing at the same time, the most beautiful place. Um, because they're doing God's work there and helping people. and they're just the nicest group of people. And um, but yeah, that's kind of my story, man. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if that's the kind of story that you guys wanted to really hear.
It
Um, but
100%, man. Man, that's incredible. Um, where God has brought you from, and all the things that you've done, and then, you know, being healed of cancer, and sometimes we get pigeonholed into thinking that healing only comes from medicine, or healing maybe only comes from God, but a lot of times it is a joint effort, right?
absolutely,
He gives us, these healthcare providers and these things that are available here. This all comes from God. MD Anderson, like you
yeah,
said, doing the Lord's work. I believe that 100%. I was in the healthcare field for a long time. I'm a nurse,
absolutely.
and miracles happen in hospitals too, right? Because of the
Yeah,
things that we're able to do that we couldn't do 100 years ago. There was no chemo
yeah,
100 years ago, and
yeah,
so being able to articulate that, and tell people how, hey, don't think you can just ignore it and it's going to go away. If you need
yeah,
help, go out and get the help that you need. Go talk to the people that you need to talk
absolutely.
to so they can get you in the right spot that you need to be in.
Well, and opening your eyes to how God is working in your life. Um, again, I was always a big believer, but I believe God. When I look back on the whole journey of going through all that, my wife's always going to be my biggest advocate and stuff, but she, I firmly believe, because I would have found every excuse not to go to that ER, but I feel like God was was doing things in my life at that time, and between God and my wife saved my life on getting me through all this, and and being able to keep such a positive attitude about it. I could have very easily gone down that road of why me? I mean, I'm out here trying to help people, and and then you know I get cancer, and I'm a good guy. Why me, God? I was never that way, and I I just I'm so thankful that I never became so bitter about it. I'm just glad that I've got a strong faith with God, and my wife and have a great relationship. I've got a great family, and I couldn't be more blessed. I got great friends, stuff, but
Wisdom can come many times for those of us that are married out there from our wives' guidance.
yeah,
And man, when I think of this story, Darrin, I mean, it's incredibly moving. I keep thinking like reservoir to river. Yeah, that this
yeah,
your story just come flowing to us today. And John, you said so well about you know talking about a hospital being a ministry, and the church, us, gathered here today, and the called out ones in Christ is a hospital, right?
That's right.
And
yeah,
I just,
absolutely.
man, God love you, Darrin, for roaring today. Um,
Thank you,
there,
brother.
yeah, you look great, man. I mean, we can see
Oh,
you
I appreciate it.
right now, and thank you for your service and your sacrifice as a firefighter in your community.
100%.
So
Oh, I
grateful.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, healed. I think too. I think I've been thinking about this the whole time listening to you, especially at the end. Is healed people can become healers,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I think you sharing your story of just gives a lot of healing hope to a lot of different people that are going to hear this.
Well, I definitely believe God has got a bigger purpose for my life. I'm still listening to figure out what all He has planned for me. Um, I definitely uh, I definitely know that. Um, I mean, in the fire service community, I mean, we get guys that come down with cancer and stuff a lot, and that's what this ultimately turned out to be. It was later. diagnosed as a firefighter-related illness with all the exposure and stuff. And so meeting, the different firefighters, and I get word of guys around the country that have been diagnosed with cancer and stuff. And I pray for those guys and those gals. And that's the one thing that was sad was while I was in the hospital, I couldn't make one of my chief's funerals, and I had to stream his funeral from the hospital. And I know of a few people that never saw a day of retirement, and lost their battles due to cancer or other things and stuff. And so I just pray for those people. And
yeah. Well, Darrin, if you had one thing to say that wraps a big bow over your entire story to kind of sum it up and to speak to the hearts of the men that are listening to this, what would you say?
It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk and tell your story. And it doesn't even have to be about cancer. It doesn't even have to be about dyslexia. It could be about maybe some mental health issues, or there's some you're struggling with your marriage, you're having issues with your job, finances, whatever it is. We are all vulnerable, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with reaching out and talking to somebody. And this is part of my healing, is being able to actually tell my story with you guys. And I think you guys too. I listened to both your stories, and again, stuff like that, it helps me heal, because you guys are brothers. And I think that we all have stories. They all may be different, but they're all good stories, and there's nothing wrong about being vulnerable and being able to talk. So I encourage everyone that if you're struggling, reach out.
Amen, dude. Love that.
Thank you. Hey, and John, what'd you tell me this weekend? Jesus is the hero.
Jesus is the hero of our story.
Absolutely.
Hey, and congrats for doing your first podcast, Darrin. I know if
hey, I did it.
You did it.
Yeah, it's great.
You did it. Broke the 4-minute mile. Write it down if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, verbally or whatever. For anybody listening in, hey, write it down. Just, whatever way you can get it out there. And just, you have no idea how much of an encouragement it's going to be. And I just think this story is really appropriate timing. No accident, right? God provides, but going into this Thanksgiving holiday,
Absolutely.
I was just reading a quote I have written down in my journal. It says, a hallmark of a Christian is that our hearts are filled with joyful thanksgiving. Amen. And I know that's why you're here today, Darrin, sharing your story today, because you're so grateful for what God has done in your life, not only physically, but in your heart and in your soul. And just, it's beautiful to see.
That's right.
I appreciate that, guys.
Well, praise the Lord that you are in remission, and that you have that burden off of you. And man, thanks. Like Casey said, thank you for sharing this and coming on here and being vulnerable, man.
Yeah.
Bold.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. You guys got anything to close with before we head out?
I don't. John, Casey, I appreciate you guys very much, and it's been great meeting y'all.
Yeah. Back at you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yes.
All right, Casey, wrap her up, dude.
All right, loud and proud. 1, 2, 3. Jesus speed.
Guys, if the Roar podcast has fired you up or reminded you what God can do in a man's life, take a second to rate the show and drop a comment. It helps more men hear these stories of redemption. We're not after money, but if you want to support the mission, grab some gear at Jesus7speed.com. We have some sweet Roar podcast gear We have caps, we have some t-shirts, probably be adding some more stuff in the near future. But every dollar goes right back into growing the podcast through advertising or if we need better equipment. Rate it, share it, wear it. Let's keep the roar getting louder.